Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. On this channel, I've gone over many printer companies like HP that go out of their way to make your experience as miserable as possible. Whether we're talking about the ink not working if you buy aftermarket ink cartridges or the scanner not working without installing ink, there are many things that many printer companies do nowadays that really encourage you to take your printer and throw it off a balcony. And every time this has come up, I give the same answer that many other tech enthusiasts give. Buy a Brother laser printer for $100 and all of your woes will be solved. You won't have to deal with these things. And I've said in these old videos, very sadly, that I feel someday I will be proven wrong. But for now, this is the way it is. And I have indeed been proven wrong. So I want to make this video just to clarify so that people don't watch my stuff and wonder, I bought a Brother, why am I getting screwed? Here we go on the Consumer Action Task Force Wiki, where I've listed all of the different issues. So one of the issues is that with certain printers, they will not work with aftermarket ink, even if they worked with aftermarket ink when you bought it. So let's say you buy the printer, you install an aftermarket ink cartridge, it works. They have auto updates in the printer, and sometimes the new Brother firmware updates don't change anything in the printer besides your ability to print with other aftermarket ink cartridges. So they'll have these new sophisticated schemes to try and figure out whether the cartridge you're using is aftermarket or not. So you may go to your printer one day that used to print with your aftermarket ink cartridge. It behaved this way when you bought it, and it stops behaving this way later. Not even because you double-clicked and installed a software update, but because the software update installed itself automatically. If you purchase one of these printers and it is working, I highly suggest that you turn off your updates. And if you're worried about security updates or it getting messed up as a result of it, don't put the thing on the fucking internet. Your printer doesn't need to be on the internet. You can put it on your local network and you can block it from ever connecting to the internet so you don't have to worry about security issues in that type of way. There are certain issues that you may have to worry about having it on a LAN. And if that really fucks with you, then just hook it up with a USB cable and deal with it. It's better off than getting screwed where I need to print these papers for my tax return. It must be printed. And then you go to your printer and it tells you, LOL, fuck you, and you like the store is closed, and it takes 4 days for ink cartridge to get delivered. The next one is where you cannot use the color printer properly if you buy an aftermarket ink cartridge because the color calibration is no longer allowed. And I was linking to this particular one, which is one of my favorites in this wiki. So check this out. I have an MFC 3750 that's been running perfectly with non-OEM ink for over a year. The W1.56 firmware update impacted and disabled the color registration feature. With the colors not able to be aligned, the printer is effectively non-functional. I chatted with support who told me that in order to troubleshoot, I would first need to buy genuine toner. I asked what the troubleshooting steps were after I installed the Brother toner. The answer, none. Installing new out-of-box toner will solve this problem. I asked what toner had to do with color registration and was told it doesn't meet our quality standards and Brother toner is calibrated for temperature. I asked point blank, so the printer is non-functional without genuine toner? And the response was exactly. I'm incredibly angry with this development. The reason I purchased this printer was to avoid this exact type of restriction. The printer worked perfectly before the update and suddenly it doesn't. And the only reason they tell me is because the toner is not genuine. Now you may think, why didn't you just install an old version of the firmware? Well, one of the things that Brother does is when they release a new piece of firmware that disables your ability to use an aftermarket ink cartridge, they take their old version of the firmware off the website, so you can no longer download an old version. You may notice that if you're dealing with laptop drivers or you're going to your motherboard website, you can download a BIOS from 2 months ago, but usually you can also download a BIOS from 4 months ago, 8 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. You can grab the old driver if you want. And that's not the case with the printer in many instances for many companies. And fortunately, including Brother. You're not going to be able to get that even if you wanted it so that you could use your aftermarket ink cartridge. And this is one of those areas where I talk about where it's changing the terms of the sale after the sale, using the device's connection to the internet to block you from being able to do what you want with it. You bought the printer with the ability to use an aftermarket ink cartridge. You have not changed anything. The aftermarket ink cartridge is still in the printer and it still has ink, but it does not work because the printer connected to the internet and asked Brother, am I still allowed to use an aftermarket ink cartridge, please, sir? And then Brother said, no. Now, at this point, you may be asking, what type of printer should I buy? I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you. I haven't had to print something in a really long time. I have a printer, scanner, faxer here, and I scan. I send documents when I need to, when I get random stuff in the mail, IRS stuff, anything else. The only time I have to print at home is when I'm making a shipping label. And for that, again, it's very rare that I have to do that. But when I have to do that, I don't have a Zebra at home. I have a Zebra at the store that I use because I actually need to be able to print mass labels. I print maybe like one label every week if max here. So I use the laser that I have. I'm keeping this printer and holding on to it for dear life. It will never connect to the internet. It is an old Brother printer. I will never update its firmware. And don't have an answer. If somebody has an answer, post it in the comments below. But just to update the record, brother is among the rest of them now. If you wanted to make the argument with this, by the way, that the color not working properly is because you bought an aftermarket ink cartridge, it's really difficult to make that argument when the color worked fine before the firmware update. One of the items, by the way, when I was initially creating this Consumer Action Task Force wiki that was mildly discouraging is when people said, why don't you create something that indexes all these issues of consumer abuse, is that I thought it would just be everything. It's just going to be asterisk dot asterisk. And at this point, it kind of is becoming that, but I still think it's important to log all these different issues so that 30 or 60 or 90 years from now, when people are asking when and how did property rights go away, at the very least, we have a record of how it happened. I'm excited to have something like a browser extension that when you're on their website says does not allow you to use new ink, messes with color when you update the firmware kind of stuff. But at the same time, it is depressing that every printer website that you go to is going to have an entry. But it's still important to log all of it and report all of it. Isn't it, BlackBerry? Isn't it? Yes, it is. Why do you always have to hit me in the nose? You know that's the cartilage part, right? Why are you eating me? Why cat scratchy tongue? I gotta wash my arm. Why are you eating me? Stop that. Stop that. Don't eat me. Ow. Ow. If I move to get the mic closer to her, I'm going to disturb her. I'm really happy at how much more active she's been recently. She usually never jumped up when I was doing a video. That was always Mr. Clinton that did that, not her. 90% of the time was Clinton. And now she actually competes to jump on the chair and take his place, which is really cool. What I also enjoy. So I just, how excited she is now, in a way she hasn't been before. I'm glad about that because she's old. She's 15. That's old for a kitty. So I like that in the last few years that I'm going to get with her, that I have a very active BlackBerry. I don't know if the lighting of the camera angle allows this to be seen, but my arm is turning red. Ow. BlackBerry. That really hurts. Can you stop that? So the reason that she's doing this is I have this Bronner's skin cream. It's the best. It's the best. When you use this app called Yuka, it'll show you all the ingredients and the stuff that you buy, the chemicals. Bronner's has always been the best. All one or all none. I love Bronner. And it's only when I put that on that she does this. She really likes the mint one. She's literally eating me. This isn't. Wow. Stop. I don't know if that shows up, the color. I gotta go wash my arm. See you later. Good girl, BlackBerry. Ow. So you can nuzzle me, just stop doing that though. She's so happy right now. What a happy kitty. What a happy kitty.